guys, it's Kelly. I am back with another process video. This layout is for stuck sketches, and I just had the sketch on the screen, and I am going to be pulling out some of my Felicity Jane papers. I'm not going to be using one particular kit. At a certain point, I just lump some of my papers together and then pull things out. So these pictures are of my daughter's favorite toys several years ago. That Dora was well loved, as you can see by her crazy hair and the backpack as well. She used to put a bunch of her little treasures in her backpack and then sling it on her back, and it was so sweet to watch her walk around the house with it. My only regret is that, when she was this little, cell phones were cell phones and did not have cameras with them, and to lug around a big camera to try to capture some of these moments just really wasn't realistic. And I just wish sometimes I could go back in time and capture those sweet little moments, because as much as I can remember them, it's a shame that I don't have a photo of it. So I'm just happy that at least I did take pictures of some of these items. So you are going to see me struggle quite a bit with this layout. I wanted to follow the sketch because I really liked the vertical design and the central aspect of it as well. And it's definitely a different look for me, and I do enjoy doing things out of my comfort zone. But I end up switching the sketch around, turning it onto its side, which makes the layout work a lot better for me. So you are going to see a lot of finger tapping during this process video, so you will definitely be able to tell that it was a little bit of a struggle. And I did leave some of this in just so I could let you know, and maybe you can see something that helps you or learn something, or just get inspired or learn what not to do. So my struggle with the photos is the fact that Dora is looking to the right on the screen and Backpack is looking to the left. And having them up and down, it was just driving me crazy having them look different ways. So I tried it on different sides of the paper, stuck it back in the middle, and I'm just not happy with it. But, I'm stuck with really wanting to stay pretty true to the sketch. But that's the beauty of sketches. You can still stay true to the sketch and just change the direction or change the orientation. So I am going to turn it on its side, and then I'm going to put the photos facing one another. And as soon as I do that, it gets easier. I won't say that it gets easy, but it does get easier. So I am tired of moving around all the layers, so I'm just lightly adhering them. I'm not sold on this, and I want the layers to somewhat stay together as I'm moving things around. So I pull in this blue, and I decided to do that because blue and purple tends to work well together, and the layout the sketch does call for some paper layers on the side. So I thought maybe if I pull in the blue that it would help. And what ultimately I end up doing is tossing out the yellow. And the reason that I had pulled the yellow in the first place was because one of the papers had the florals with a little bit of yellow, and on Dora's shirt there's a yellow star. So the yellow was definitely there either in the papers or the photos, and it's not a stretch, and yellow is actually a great color to go with purple. It wasn't working for this layout. So I decide that I want to jazz up my background without it being too much, and I'm going to go ahead and just take a baby wipe and spread out a little bit of gesso. I did not use a credit card or a gift card for this one because I knew that I wasn't going to be doing a whole lot of it, and I knew that I really wanted to keep things in the middle of the page. So that's where I'm concentrating the gesso on. And I will have to say that on some papers, the difference of the color of gesso doesn't bother me as much, but this one kind of did. But I kept going with it because I didn't want to stop, because I actually liked the way that the misting turned out. So this is a Lindy Stamp Gang mist that I have, and I cannot remember the color, but it's a beautiful purple, and it turned out to be fairly light. I wasn't quite sure how dark or intense the color would be, and I end up in a minute just spraying the mist straight on the background because it was fairly, not translucent, but it just, it's not that it soaked up into the gesso, because the gesso keeps it on top. It seemed to lighten up as it dried. So I really wanted to be able to see a little bit more of the lavender. So when I am in a hurry, I do dry my mist and I do dry the gesso with my heat tool, although I do find that when I do that, it does buckle the paper a little bit more. So I did dry it in between, and I just pulled out a second Lindy Stamp Gang mist in a pale pink, just to have a little bit of variation on the background, and it really did turn out very pretty. So the final thing that I wanted to do on the background was put a little bit of modeling paste through the stencil, and I just chose hearts because hearts are always good for a girl page, and I just thought that it worked well. I believe that the stencil is from an old hip kit. If anybody is interested in that, I don't think that you can just go out and buy it. So at this point, I just walk away from it, I let it dry, and I come back the next day. And I did not want the paper to warp anymore. It didn't take, I don't think it took that long to dry. It was just one of those things that I just walked away from it. I was still struggling with it. I didn't want to give up on it because I felt like I could make it work, but I just needed a breather away from it. So in doing so, that was when I had the wherewithal to just give up the vertical design element and go ahead and do it on a horizontal element, and it seems to work a lot better at this point. So I went ahead and I had trimmed down the cardstock to 11.5 by 11.5, and I mounted it on the Felicity Jane paper that has that pink swirl background paper. It's not a paper on that side that I loved, and the cardstock also really needed that extra background to help prevent the buckling, so I did not cut out the middle of this piece of pattern paper. So I decided that I wanted to layer foam underneath my photos just to give them a little bit of dimension, and since I was going to do that, I also decided that I wanted to mount it on white cardstock just to help make them stand out a little bit more. And this is, again, I'm going down a path that I end up getting away from. I do decide that I'm just going to have the title be Dora and Backpack, and I have not given up on the blue yet. And at this point, when I finally take away the yellow I think is gone for good at this point, and I'm just going to have it be blue and pink. And in a little bit, you will see that I give up on the blue. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't great. And, I'm not sure. It just, sometimes, the layouts just take longer to come together, and, that's okay, because I still believe that through the creative process and the struggle that you can learn some things, and that it helps other pages come together or other projects come together much quicker. So if you're ever, struggling with a page, just let it, just go with it until you can't go anymore. But I never felt like on this one that I needed to just ditch the whole thing. I have done that before, and no regrets in doing it. It's just, one of those things. Plus, I will say that I had just finished the layout about my mom, and I think it'll be the last process video that I had, and that page came together fairly quickly, but it was hard mentally. So for me, I think to get back in the game, it was just a little bit a of a challenge. So I'm going to ultimately decide that I don't want to do any of the blue, that I felt like it was too heavy for the page. I did like the title, Dora and Backpack, because in 20 years she may not remember the name of the doll or the show. And underneath the title of Backpack, I am going to just talk about how that, Dora the Explorer was one of her favorite shows to watch, and, that she used to fill a backpack with her little treasures and carry it around the house, and it was just very sweet. And, again, these little things are some of the best things that I think I can scrapbook. It's just sweet little memories, and I truly did enjoy the page, even though it was a process. So I remembered that one of my Felicity Jane kits had these larger floral vellum shapes, and I remembered that there were some lavender pieces in it. So this is when I decided to ditch the blue and just go with the lavender. And then I also found some letter stickers that were also Felicity Jane, and they are white with the black outline. And I think that these worked so much better because, number one, they are a neutral, and it didn't introduce the blue that was nowhere else on the page. And sometimes that contrast of a color really works well, and other times it doesn't work as well. So I think it's just one of those things that you have to play with and see if it works or not. So what I did is I put just a little bit of adhesive underneath these the vellum shapes, and I contemplated cutting them in half, but I barely made a dent and I have a ton of them left. So I just decided to use the whole piece and make it a little bit easier on myself. And off screen, I will take them and sew them down just so that I don't have to worry about them falling off. And you will not see that on the page. And the other thing I need to apologize for is apparently my battery died, and so you don't see me adhering down the last bits of it, but it's all pieces that I had shown on screen. So if you just stay tuned and look at the close-ups, you will see how everything came together. And I just want to thank you so much for your sweet comments. I read them all, and they were very touching, and I just want to thank you so much. Your words do mean a lot. And on a final note, I am going to link the Stuck Sketches blog in the details section below. Go ahead and check them out, and you can see the other fantastic pages that the design team did. The team is full of talent, and I'm just so thankful to be on this team because, there's inspiration definitely to be found with each of the girls. So thanks again for joining me. I truly appreciate it. I read your comments. They do make my day, and especially when they are so supportive of a difficult subject. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.